Hello, and welcome to my presentation, What the Liberal Arts Mean to Me. In this presentation, I'll cover a brief introduction, three main points: learning to remember, learning to grow, and learning to heal, a conclusion, and then references. Aren't the liberal arts out of touch? Life expectancy at age 25 is about a decade shorter for those who have not completed a high school degree compared to those who have completed college. In this presentation, I'm going to be talking about what the liberal arts mean to me and my family's origin story, and why it's important. I do want to give a trigger warning. In this story, there will be a brief mention of domestic violence, arson, and attempted homicide. In 1964, my great grandfather tied my great grandmother to the bed during labor. He then shot her in the head. A neighbor called the police, and when the police arrived, my great grandfather said they would never take him alive. He talked the police into a shootout in exchange for my great grandmother and my baby grandmother, and the police agreed. They shot and took out my great grandfather. Before the shootout, my great grandfather had set the apartment on fire. Miraculously, my great grandmother and my grandma survived. This story highlights the needs for liberal arts education, intergenerational mobility, and communication critical thinking skills in my family's history. Learning to remember. What we create, read, learn, decipher, understand, remember, and pass on through our incarnated lives is essential to unlocking the mysteries of the past and create a more just and equitable future. I don't know why the situation with my great grandfather happened. I do know that no one in my family at that point had completed high school. I also know that it was most important in our family to get a job instead of pursuing education. Getting a job to my family did not mean a lawful job, it meant any job you could get. There were people in my family who couldn't even read or write. Descendants show elevated distress and trauma symptoms, highlighting our responsibility to our descendants and community. Collective learning is our responsibility. We must learn from the past to inform our choices and impact the present and the future. My mom was born when my grandmother was 14 years old. My grandmother was still a child. There was a lot she did not know. My mom had me when she was 17. There was a lot my mom didn't know. When my mom was 18 years old, she rescued my aunt from the foster system. She raised both of us together. She didn't know all the answers to life. She was still a kid, but she made a choice to change our family's past, to break cycles, and to give us better circumstances. Learning to grow. Whether apart from or paired with a professional education, the liberal arts prepares us with a mindset, a tool set, and a soul set for framing questions and awareness of beginning with the answers in mind. See, my mom didn't know the answers, but she was going to find them. She was going to figure out a way to change our life circumstances. In this photo, my mom had just graduated from nursing school. She was the first one in our family to graduate from college. My grandma's with her in this photo. Even in this photo, and I was there with them this day, celebrating with my mom and my grandma and my grandpa, he was there as well, celebrating her graduation. But even in this photo, my grandma was still struggling with addiction. She never gave up. My mother's ambition to change the trajectory of her life and her descendants' lives created intergenerational mobility for past and future generations. See, shortly after this photo, my grandma did get her GED. However, 2 years later, she passed away. Communication, problem solving, and understand other people were all missing in earlier generations. When speaking to my mom, about this project, actually, I did an interview and we spoke about our family's education, our past, and why things were the way that they were. When speaking about how we've all sought higher education, I asked my mom what had changed. And she said, with more education, we learned how to communicate, to problem solve, and that our morals had changed. Learning to heal. Physiological changes in stress regulation and brain structure suggest biological embedding of trauma across generations. See, my mom's circumstances weren't easy. She has memories very young of things that happened that were very negative. She didn't tell me those things until very recently. But I know one thing: our family needs healing. And our family has been going through healing, even when I did not know it. If we want to heal the deeper divides in our society, we need to first heal our severed selves. Liberal arts education helped my mom break the cycle of poverty, and her words were that they gave her a normal life. Clear and organized classroom instruction and deep approaches to learning tend to facilitate growth in both critical thinking and need for cognition. Environmental enrichment and positive social experiences have shown substantial potential in mitigating trauma induced epigenetic changes. I love research. I love knowing that there's science behind what I'm saying. And what this quote means is that we can change our body's chemistry, we can change our brain's chemistry. See, when intergenerational trauma happens, basically, that original trauma, it changes things in the brain and it can be passed down through generations. But what this statement is saying from the research that I've done is that when we change our environment and give ourselves positive social experiences, so what we surround ourselves with, then we can start to rewrite those changes for the better. Are the liberal arts out of touch? The liberal arts are anything but out of touch. The liberal arts teach us to preach with our lives. By sharing our story and healing ourselves, we make an example for the future. The liberal arts are a virtue, and when integrated into our lives, they empower us to change the world. We don't have to change the whole world. We start by changing our world first, and changing the world of those around us. We apply our liberal arts education to who we are as a person, a mother, a sister, a friend. We integrate those teachings into our lives, and then our lives preach for themselves. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Here are my references.